Hi, my name is Becky. I will be your guide as we explore the Northeast region. We will visit the states of Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. We'll also visit our nation's capital, the District of Columbia. If that sounds like many places, don't worry. All these states and the District of Columbia put together are not nearly as big as the lone state of Texas. Yet there's much to see and do here in the Northeast. We'll see snow-covered mountains for all the skiers and beautiful beaches for the swimmers. We'll visit lakes, rivers, and some really big waterfalls. Then we'll see what kind of jobs people have in the Northeast. Finally, we'll meet some of the people, and there are many to meet here. The Northeast may be small, but it has a great big population. We're off to see the Northeast. Chapter 1, The Land. The smallest. The smallest state is Rhode Island. The state has 36 islands, most of them in Narragansett Bay. It would take about 425 Rhode Islands to cover Alaska, our biggest state. The shortest, New Hampshire has the shortest seacoast, 18 miles in the country. The oldest mountains in North America are the Appalachian Mountains. The only one. Maine is the only state that borders just one state, New Hampshire. Cape Cod. Can you smell the salt air? Do you hear the waves crashing? We're off to the beach. Don't forget your sunscreen. We're going to start our trip on Cape Cod. It's a favorite vacation spot for families from all over the Northeast. They love its wide beaches and beautiful sand dunes. Compare the image of Cape Cod on this page with its image on the map on page 6. You can see that a cape is part of the coastline that sticks out into the sea. The sea here is the big, rough and tumble Atlantic Ocean. So how did this slender arm of land get here? All of Cape Cod was bulldozed here by a giant glacier. A glacier is a huge sheet of ice. This glacier covered most of the Northeast with ice about a mile thick. It moved slowly south, pushing everything along with it. The glacier stopped and melted when it got here. It left a pile of dirt and rocks behind. That's how Cape Cod was formed. Now we're going to see something else the glaciers left behind. Lakes, rivers, and falls. The Northeast was once buried under glaciers. Then the climate began to warm up. The glaciers melted. Giant puddles were everywhere. Some of those puddles are still here. They are the Great Lakes, the largest group of freshwater lakes in the world. The Great Lakes form a natural border between the United States and Canada. A border is the line that separates one area from another. Find Lake Erie and Lake Ontario on the map on page 6. As you can see, they are connected by the Niagara River. But don't think of going rafting on this river. It plunges over a cliff and crashes down over 170 feet. Water that flows over a cliff is called a waterfall. This waterfall is called Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls is really two falls. On the New York side is the American Falls. Over on the Canadian side is the Great Big Horseshoe Falls. The mountains. We are going to see a very old landform, the Appalachian Mountains. When they were young, 250 million years ago, they were towering snow-capped peaks. Today they are eroded or worn down by wind, rain, and of course, glaciers. If you like exploring wild places like I do, then the Appalachian Trail is for you. It stretches 2,100 miles all along the Appalachian Mountains. The trail is the longest footpath in the United States. You can see wild turkeys, raccoons, my favorite, and possums. You might even see a black bear along the trail. Some people hike the whole trail from Maine to Georgia. I wonder how many months that would take to do. The coastal plain. Let's follow some of the streams as they flow down and out of the mountains and become waterfalls. That means we have come to the fall line. It stretches from southern New York to Alabama. At the fall line, higher land suddenly drops down to the Atlantic coastal plain. The coastal plain is flat land along the seacoast. In the past, the fall line was a great source of water power. Small factories used the power of running water to run machinery. Today, the waterfalls are used for making electric power. We're on the Delmarva Peninsula. A peninsula is land that has water on 3 sides. The ground is wet here. This land is a marsh in the Blackwater National Wildlife Refuge. Tall grasses are everywhere. Deer hide in the few clumps of trees. Ducks, geese, and even bald eagles live in these wetlands. About 1 million birds spend the winter here. It's time for us humans to leave all this wildlife. We've toured the waterways, mountains, and plains of the Northeast. Let's see how the people here use the land and water to make a living.